Welcome to the longest
It's the longest lecture ever. There will be
longest presentation of this workshop. So we know we had our 100th anniversary that was never celebrated. So, but it's more than 100 years that we have been serving the seafarers, the fishers in their family. And the Catholic Church has been taking care of people of the sea by providing material and spiritual assistance through its structure. There were the dioceses.
Don't. We will share with you the slides.
Okay,
Just follow.
Providing through the different organizations in the church. While, for example, in the Protestant world, on the Anglican world, they had to create structure like Mission to Seafarers, Sailor Society, to assist the seafarers properly. The Catholic Church didn't need to do that because the parish, if it was a parish near the port, they would assist the seafarers and the fishers that were on the port. There was one early congregation in France, in the northern part, that was assisting the fishers. So that was the things. In the port of Houston already, for example, in 1850, there was already a chaplain that was assigned there. So we have been assisting the seafarers for a long time, the people of the sea. But we consider the 4th of October 1920 as the foundation day of the Apostolate of the Sea, as we know it now, the Stella Maris, as an association of maritime people for the spiritual and social well-being of the seafarers. Actually, the motivation that was moving this group of 4 lay people, they were not priests, they were lay people, trying to organize the ministry to the people of the sea, at that time was to save the Catholic seafarers from becoming Anglican and Protestant. So that was the initial preoccupation that they had. In 1922, Pope Pius XI sent a letter through the Secretary of State, Cardinal Gaspari, to one of the founder, Peter Anson, and in this letter, that was dated April 17, so this year was the 100th year of this letter from the Pope, wishing that this new organization will develop around the 2 hemispheres of the world. So, and also in that letter, there was the approval of the Constitution, the first Constitution of the Apostolate of the Sea. And why it's called Apostolate of the Sea? Because at the beginning they used the structure of Apostolate of Prayer. You know, it's still existing now. So because there were the Jesuits involved in at the beginning, and so actually the founder, they asked the permission from the Jesuit to use the name Apostoleship, and instead of prayer they put Apostolate of the Sea. In 1927, we have the first Congress of the Maritime Apostolate in France, and there they start developing the idea of a universal federation of different organizations that will work for the people of the sea. And in 1931, there was the decision to create an international organization to be called Apostolatus Maris, with the secretariat in London. Okay. So as I was saying, the name with the link of the Apostolate of the Prayer, and when the center they start opening, the center they were called Stella Maris. It's a little bit like the Anglican Mission to Seafarers. The Anglican they are called Mission to Seafarers, but their center are called Flying Angels. So the same for us. We are called Apostolate of the Sea at that time, but our center were called Stella Maris. There on the side you see the original design of the logo of the Stella Maris. And throughout this 100 years, I have seen all different kind, color and shape of this logo. The heart, I have seen the heart that was even color green, and other things. So, and this was creating a lot of confusion, because sometimes the people, they thought that the Apostolate of the Sea and Stella Maris were two different organizations. But among the seafarers and fishers, generally we are better known as Stella Maris. I think who does ship visit, when he goes on board, who say Apostolate of the Sea, oh yes, Stella Maris. So that's the things. And on the occasion of the centennial, we thought that it was time to stop this confusion. And so we created a new logo. We created a new logo. It's better you click everything otherwise. So we created a new logo that is basically still, yeah, that's why you use Apple and create that. And practically it's the same logo as before. We modernized a little bit, and we added the waves. So, and I think for the dinosaur of the Stella Maris, they know the meaning of this logo, the anchor, that is a sign of hope, and the anchor when it's dropped in the sea, especially on the rough sea, or when there are big waves, generally the anchor will hold the vessel steady. And also for the seafarers, Stella Maris is an anchor. When they are going through rough time, when there are storms in their life, we can be an anchor and keep them steady and keep them safe. We have the lifesaver, and we know that if you fall into the water and you don't know how to swim, somebody will throw you a lifesaver, you grab it, and you save yourself. And so this is the symbol that the seafarers, they trust in God. God is their lifesaver. And we know very well that the seafarers, they have a strong faith in God, especially when they are in troubles. We have the heart, that is the symbol of charity, and is also for us, the heart of Jesus is the one that should inspire us and bring us to love all the seafarers. We have the lights, the ray of lights. So from the heart of Jesus, we reach out to the lifesaver, to the people. But this heart and this ray are rooted on the anchor. And after, as I said, we put the sea. This is an addition that we do put to the logo, because the new sensitivity in the world, but also on the church, especially with Pope Francis, with the concern for the environment, and the environment where the seafarers and the fishers, they live and they work. We move to the next one. So now we go back to the history. In 1934, there was the World Congress in Hamburg that adopted adopted the statutes of the Apostolatus Maris International Concilio. And that was a confederation of different Stella Maris. At that time, after 14 years, they were already around 30 centers around the world. So they create this sort of confederation. Here there is missing one date. In 1938, there was the World Congress in Glasgow. So 18 years after the Apostolship of the Sea was founded in Glasgow, they had the World Congress. And this year, we will have the 25th World Congress in Glasgow in October. In 1942, Pope Pius XII placed the Apostolatus Maris under the overall direction of the Congregation of the Bishop. Now, the Apostolatus Maris was an organization that was founded by lay people and was already structured because they had their own secretariat in London. And at that time they wanted to be connected with the Vatican. And it was very difficult at that time for the Vatican to find a place for an organization that was funded by lay people. You can imagine, we start talking about lay people during the Vatican II, but Stella Maris was already advanced. And at that time, the Congregation of Bishops was a kind of box where everything, you didn't know where to put it, or just give it to the Congregation of Bishop, any organization, everything. The Congregation of Bishop was the one collecting all the different things. So the organization was still in London, the Secretariat, but somehow the overall direction, in the sense that the bishop, they could oversee what the Stella Maris was doing through the Congregation of Bishops. In 1945, there was a Dutch priest that was in charge of the Apostolship of the Sea, and he suggested to the Congregation of Bishops to study the possibility of setting up a kind of international ordinariate for merchant marine, and at the same time claim for itself and improving the already existing association of the Apostolship of the Sea. Just remember this. So this is the first proposal to transform the Apostolship of the Sea in something very specific. And throughout the history you will see there will be many other proposals, but no one materialized. So the first one is the international ordinariate. In 1946 they requested that Rome will give a canonical status to be recognized by the Vatican, but that never happened until now. We will see what will happen later. In 1952 there was this very important apostolic constitution, the Exul Familia, that was dealing with the pastoral care of migrants, of emigrants, and also of the seafarers. And I think this Exul Familia was the first important constitution that was dealing with the people on the move. And for the first time in the documents was mentioned the opus, that means the work of the Apostolatus Maris. In 1953, finally, the secretariat that was in Rome, was in London, was moved to Rome. And again, the Congregation of the Bishop was the one that had the overall direction. In 1954, because at that time there were a lot of migrants that they were leaving Europe to go to North America, South America, Latin America. And so the congregation of the bishop issued some norms and faculties that they were dealing with the chaplains of the ship, that they were called navigator. But in these norms and faculties, they were not mentioned in the work of the Apostoleship of the Sea. In 1957, we have the Legis Operis Apostolatus Maris, which established the norms that define the structure and the spiritual purpose of the work of the Apostoleship of the Sea. In 1957, we have a creation of the Council, and we have the first bulletin of the Apostoleship of the Sea that continue its publication until 2016. And in 1968-69, Stella Maris, the Apostolatus Maris, was the founder, together with other Christian denomination, of ICMA, the International Christian Maritime Association. That is an ecumenical group that is composed of 27 different Christian denominations that they work ecumenically for the seafarers. I think some of you attended the 50th anniversary of the foundation of ICMA in Taiwan in 2019. Stella Maris is part of this. The person that is in Rome, in the Vatican, is also a trustee of ICMA. So in this case, I am the trustees of ICMA, and I represent Stella Maris in ICMA. In 1970, again, there was some changes on the Curia. We are talking about the reform of the Curia now with the Predicate Evangelium, but even there, at that time, 1970, so under the authority of the Congregation of the Bishop, they created the Pontifical Commission for Pastoral Care of Migrant and Itinerant People. And after the Pontifical Commission became the Pontifical Council. And there was the sector of the Apostolatus Maris, and there were 5 people working for Stella Maris. Now we are only 2. In 1972, there was the 15th World Congress in Rome, and Pope Paul VI encouraged the transformation of the Apostoleship of the Sea into an international Catholic organization. And there was the suggestion to create a committee and blah, 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 but nothing happened. So the first one was the ordinary. The second one to become an international Catholic organization, but it's not yet over. In 1977, we have the promulgation again of a decree with the norms and faculty for the spiritual care of seafarers and others who travel by sea. This was done by the Pontifical Commission. And also, in a very important letter that was shared in 1978 by the Pontifical Commission, they said that this specialized apostolate, and he was referring also to the Apostleship of the Sea, transcend the sphere not only of a particular church, but also in many cases of a national episcopal conference. So what he was saying, there are some particular ministry or apostolate that they have to be universal. They cannot be local. There is local, but is universal, because the seafarers, they are in one specific port, but 2 days after are in another port, so they keep moving. So they cannot be tied up, the ministry, in one place. But the ministry is universal. And that is the network that we have. And quite often we do that. Means a chaplain visit a ship, there is a problem, he cannot solve the problem, but he can communicate to the next port of call where the chaplain can go on board and solve the issue. So that's the problem. We transcend the diocese, the national churches and everything. And also in 1982 we have again a degree with special faculties for chaplains and privilege for the faithful of the various sector of people on the move, and that is included also the Apostolship of the Sea. In 1988 we have this was the pastor bonus. This was the reform of the church that was of the Curia, of the Roman Curia, that was made by John Paul II, and the work of the Apostolship of the Sea became a sector of the human mobility and is entrusted to the newly created Pontifical Council for the Pastoral Care of Migrants and Itinerant People. And Article 150, paragraph 2, says that the Pontifical Council takes care of the pastoral care of the people of the sea through the Pontifical Council. And because there was this overall direction, the Pontifical Council, the Congregation of the Bishop, they have the overall direction. And at a certain point, people, they said, but what is this overall direction? What does it mean that the Pontifical Council has the overall direction? And so, within the Vatican, there is a Pontifical Council that gives the exact interpretation of any law in the Vatican. And so, the Cardinal Sodano, that was the Secretary of State at that time, he requested the Pontifical Council for the interpretation of the legislative text to specify what was this. And this was the reply. According to the language of the Pastor Bonus, the work of the Apostleship of the Sea must be recognized his own autonomy, even if it's not absolutely and completely independent. So that means that the Vatican is, no, the Stella Maris is within the Vatican. He has to depend from the dicastery where it is now, the dicastery for promoting human integral development, but he has a certain degrees. The Apostleship of the Sea, or the person that is in charge of the Stella Maris, has a certain degrees of autonomy, of making some decision. And we go in 1993. Again, there is another so this. And here is the third proposal. There was a draft proposal for the reorganization of the Apostleship of the Sea in a Maritime Apostolate as an international confederation of National Association of Faithful for the Maritime Apostolate. So, Ordinariate, international organization, now International Confederation of National Association of Faithful. But even this was not materialized. But in the office in the Vatican, in Trastevere, what they did at that time, September 1993, they put a plaque with the logo of the Apostolatus Maris. On top there was the plaque of the Pontifical Council for Migrant and Itinerant People, and underneath there was the plaque of the Apostolatus Maris. So that means that the Apostolatus Maris was part of the Pontifical Council, but was in a way autonomous, independent. That plaque was removed in 2017 when there was the creation of the new dicastery. I've already told to the superior that it's time to put it back, because we are part of the dicastery, but we have also a certain autonomy. I don't know when they are going to put it back. But as I was saying, the idea of creating this Confederation of National Association of Faithful didn't take effect, because in 1997 we have the publication of the Apostolic letter Motu Proprio Stella Maris on the Maritime Apostolate. So this year is the 25th anniversary of the promulgation of the Stella Maris. And the motivation that was given was in order to meet the requirement of special pastoral assistance for people involved in commercial shipping and in fishing, as well as their family, port personnel, and all who travel by sea. We establish what follows, updating the norm issue in this century. In the history, you have heard all the decrees and the norms and the faculties that they were done. So Pope John Paul II says, okay, it's time to update these things. And so we update all the norms that they were done before. And also with this, I think they wanted to draw the attention of the church to this reality by which its very nature and in the face of other urgent pastoral need, risk of being neglected. Next. Why Stella Maris? Because Stella Maris, because we know that Stella Maris has long been the favorite title by which the people of the sea have called the Blessed Virgin. So that's why was the title that was given to the Stella Maris. And okay, so that's why we know if you go in Italy or in Europe or in other parts of the world where there is a long seafarers tradition, especially in some of churches dedicated to the Blessed Virgin, there are a lot of ex voto, they are called in Latin, of seafarers, fishers, that they were saved by the Blessed Virgin, and so gratefully they will bring a painting where they will represent them on the boat and the storm or the boat sinking and the Blessed Virgin appearing and saving all of them. So that's why Stella Maris is a very common name. And that's why when we talk with the seafarers, usually we say Mary should be the star of your life, because also before there was not GPS. Now we go anywhere with our cell phone. We have GPS. We know where to go. Before the seafarers, they had to rely on the stars, and so that's why we have Mary as the star of our life and the star of the life of the seafarers. Now, who are the beneficiaries? Because here on your chart, some they put it, some they didn't put it. But anyway, we can call it them people of the sea, and they include quite a number of people. It's not only seafarers, fishers and their families, but also, you see, they say those who work normally involved, whose work normally involved being on board of a ship. And especially now, with the development of the cruise ship. So seafarers are even the lady that they are working on the hotel side, cleaning the rooms and everything. Seafarers are also the people that they are working again on the restaurant, on the bar and everything. They are seafarers. Even the one that they are working on the laundry, they are considered seafarers. Those who work in oil rig and platform, unfortunately, we as a Stella Maris globally, we never developed this kind of ministry because it's kind of complicated also, because the oil rig is in the middle of the sea, you have to take the helicopter to go there and things, so we never developed that. But also the pensioner retire from the job. And I think here in Asia, especially in the Philippines, might be something that Stella Maris should consider, because there is a great number of seafarers that they are retired. And I think unfortunately many of them, they don't think about their future, and because when they are seafarers, they make a lot of money, especially if you are an officer or you are a master, but they don't save money for when they retire, and when they retire, they don't have money. And of course, this number 5 for you is essential. Students of Nautical Institute, as to say, Philippines has the biggest number of nautical school in Asia and everything. You are producing 100,000 or more graduated every year, and I know that you are working on with the students in the Maritime school. And on Friday we are going to see one of the Maritime school, the West. They say, Paolo says it's the best Maritime school, the one of Amusu. And also, and we have also the port workers. So generally we can say people of the sea is an expression that we are the one using it. The Protestant, the Anglican, they don't use often people of the sea, but we use this word people of the sea, and we try to involve all of this. And here what is kind of missing, I think, are the fishers. And again, this is something that it came out recently, because the phenomenon of migrant fishers is a phenomenon that started here in Asia, but also in Europe. I think early 90s, and also in Korea, Filipinos, they are going there to fish, Vietnamese and other things. So the Stella Maris was done in 1997, so as a document is a little bit dated, and we have to do some adjustment. The missions of the chaplains is to strive to see that the people of the sea are provided abundantly with whatever is required to lead holy lives. So our mission is to help the people of the sea, so all the categories that we have mentioned before, to live a holy life. Doesn't matter if you are a Catholic, if you are a Protestant, if you are a Muslim. Whatever is your religion, you are required to live a holy life. So our ministry is again universal. We have to help these people to live a holy life according to the faith in which they were grown up and the faith that they are practicing. And also recognize and promote the mission which all the faithful, and in particular the laity, are called to exercise in the church and in the maritime world in accordance with their specific state. And I know that in the Philippines you have been trying to do something very specific, the extraordinary ministry of the Eucharist, and this is something specific of the laity people, but is not really, it's kind of a difficult thing. But I don't know how many are they now, Paolo?
After pandemic, I guess.
There is no more.
We disappeared.
Okay, so
As far as I know, there are 6.
okay. Next. So this document was done so that the church would accompany the seafarer, taking care of the particular needs, spiritual needs that they need in various ways of work in the maritime and work in the maritime world. So, what I was saying before, the Stella Maris is a document that remains substantially valid, but because it was published in 1997, is dated. At that time, for example, the cruise ship industry was not yet developed, and many other things that they were placed there, they don't make any sense. For example, they say that the chaplain should keep the register for the baptism, for the weddings. Now there are nobody that gets married. They don't get even married in the church, at least in Europe. So, and I don't think they will get married on board of the ship. Or if they do it, the master will be the celebrant of the weddings. For example, Royal Caribbean, that is a big company based in United Kingdom, they changed their flag from UK flag to, I don't remember which flag of convenience, because according to the law of United Kingdom, the master cannot celebrate weddings. So they moved to a different flag of convenience so that the master would be able to celebrate weddings, because many people now, they just go on board and they go on a cruise just to get married there. There are still a lot of people, at least based on my experience with couples that they were married, they would go on Costa Crociere, that is still part of Carnival, but is an Italian company, and many people, they go in the occasion of their 25th, 30th anniversary, they go on board of a cruise to celebrate. So this is about Stella Maris. We are working about that, about changing it, but it takes time to change the document, especially the document of the book. So we arrived to the 17th August of 2017, when the Pope did a motu proprio that was called Humanam Progressionem. And motu proprio, that means is a document of the Pope, and that's it. No one can complain, no one can say I don't like it, no one can change it, only the Pope. And on the 17th of August 2017, 4 pontifical councils, the Pontifical Council for Migrant and Itinerant People, the Pontifical Council Cor Unum, that was the Pontifical Council doing charity for the Pope, Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace, and the Pontifical Council for Health, they were merged, and they became the Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development. The interesting thing is that in that motu proprio, Humanam Progressionem, the Stella Maris name is not mentioned at all. So for 5 years, we were part of the dicastery, and no one knew where we should have been within the dicastery. So we were floating around. We were saying, oh, you go with this sector, no, now you move to the other sector and everything. So, but that was good, because, you know, when no one knows where you should stay, you can do whatever you want. Because if they say, oh, you should have been here, but I was doing that, so. And so we were there floating in the dicastery. But there was another change. There was the Predicate Evangelium, that is the latest apostolic constitution of the Roman Curia that entered into force on June 5, 2022, but was published on the Feast of Saint Joseph on March 19, 2022. And there, miracles sometimes happen, and we are grateful to the Lord for the miracles. Because on the article 166 of the Predicate Evangelium, we read, the dicastery promotes the pastoral care of seafarers in the local churches, both at sea and port, especially through the work of the Apostolship of the Sea, which is responsible for its direction. So suddenly, the Stella Maris was back into the game, and we were placed within the dicastery. So, with this article, the Predicate Evangelium recognizes and reaffirms the existence of Stella Maris that should act in autonomy under the authority of the dicastery for promoting integral human development. This is the point where we are now. There are some development that I consider very positive for the Stella Maris, but at the moment everything is still in development, work in progress for Stella Maris. Most probably before the end of the year there will be for sure a clarification, and after this will be done, and eventually also the Stella Maris motu proprio will be changed. There will be less confusion on the Stella Maris. So the long things ended here, and now voila, that's the structure. So you can see it's a little bit different of this one that you have. Should I explain it?
A bit.
Yeah, so we have the Holy See, we have the Roman Curia, there is the Secretary of State, there are 16 dicastery, and there are many other offices. So, and there is the dicastery for promoting integral human development. At the moment, the president is Cardinal Michael Czerny, that is a Jesuit. We have a secretary, that is Sister Alessandra Smerilli. She is Salesian. And we have another secretary that is Father Fabio Baggio, that some of you might have known because he was working here in the Philippines, and he's a Scalabrinian. And the office is more or less 75 people in the office now. Under the dicastery for promoting integral human development, we have the COVID-19 Commission, we have the migrant section, and we have also the Stella Maris International. I'm there, and thanks be to God, Sister Kathleen arrived, because practically from 2016 until 2021 I was alone. And the Stella Maris International is coordinating with the different international maritime organizations, ICMA, ITF, ILO, IMO, ISPAN, etc. The Stella Maris is the one that is appointing the regional coordinator, and we have 9 regions around the world. But at the same time, the Stella Maris is working directly with the Bishop Conference, with the director, the national director, and the regional coordinator should work with the Bishop Conference and the Bishop Promoter in his region, and with the national director. And the national director, I don't know why that is the only Italian that is good. The national director, they work with the chaplains, and the chaplains, they are in touch with the volunteer, the personnel of the Stella Maris, with the Ecumenical Center, but also they are in charge, they are connected with the Port Authority, Immigration, Port Welfare Committee, ship chandlers, etc., etc. And they are dealing with the people of the sea. So this is the structure as we saw it in the Vatican.
The structure is mean the blue color is we just only coordinate with them, it's not under them.
Cool.
So I mean IGMA is one, IGF is out with the partner, right?
They, of course, ISWAN, IGMA also work directly with the chaplains and everything because it's, but I would say I deal with this organization as official and high position.
Okay.
After ICMA and also ISWAN or ITF will work with the other chaplains and other center, but in a different way.
We have a question, Father.
Yeah, you.
Bruno.
You ask,
Oh, yeah.
he is the boss.
Yeah. Maybe just to inquire, where does this chaplaincy of the airport belongs? Because I've heard that the ITF covering the, because even the pilots are members of the ITF. And then, and then the drivers.
That's an interesting
Where does
question.
that belong?
The previous Pontifical Council for the pastoral care of the migrant and itinerant people, within his mandate, there was the pastoral care for people of human mobility. So there were the pastoral care of the chaplains, civil aviation. There was the pastoral care of the road. There was the pastoral care of the circus. There was the pastoral care of the Rome. So there were all of these, and when the four pontifical councils they merged, all of this completely disappeared, because the point now is that within the Roman Curia, I would say, not only within the dicastery, the priority have changed. So the priority now was, as I was saying, the COVID-19 Commission, the section for migrants and refugees, and the third was the Laudato Si. So all the other category of people, including civil aviation, circus, and people on the road and everything, all of that completely disappear from the priority of the dicastery. So they do not exist anymore. But that's things that they have been decided, and we cannot do anything. So, but they are no longer there. The big issue that it emerged with the creation of the dicastery, because before the Bishop Conference was mirroring what there was in Rome. So in here now you had the different Episcopal Commission for Migrant and Itinerant People, no? And in the Vatican there was the Pontifical Council for Migrant and Itinerant People. So when the bishop they were coming for the visita ad limina, so the bishop in charge of the Episcopal Commission for Migrant and Itinerant People will meet with the people of the Pontifical Council for Migrant and Itinerant People. So the Bishop Conference, they were mirroring the structure in the Vatican. Now, the structure in the Vatican changed completely. And the poor Bishop Conference, they remain as they were. So now the main issue is when they come to Rome, they don't find anymore.
Where did he go?
Where do they go? That's the problem. But means this, I don't know if, I think you have heard about this Predicate Evangelium. But this Predicate Evangelium has really changed a lot in the Roman Curia. For example, the Propaganda Fide, that Cardinal Tagle, he was the prefect of Propaganda Fide. Now, Propaganda Fide has been joined with the Pontifical Council for the new evangelization. But Cardinal Tagle is no longer the prefect of the Propaganda Fide. Means he's still, but he's not. He's not, because the Pope says, I am in charge of the Propaganda Fide, of this new structure. For example, the Pontifical Council for Culture, that was Cardinal Ravasi, now is being merged with the Pontifical Council for Catholic Education. So we have to see how things in the next few years they will change and they will develop, because it's, as I was saying, when they put together the four Pontifical Council, no one knew what to do. There was Cardinal Turkson that used to say, by merging the four Pontifical Council and creating the dicastery for promoting human integral development, we have an elephant. The point was to make this elephant to stand and to walk. The problem is that this elephant never stands and never walks. So now Cardinal Turkson is no longer the head of the dicastery. We have new people that have been appointed, so we will see what will happen. We were told that by September, when we go back after vacation, there will be a new structure of the dicastery that will be presented to us. So that's why I don't know what to tell you, because we don't know what our superior they have in mind now. So, but that was a big issue. Paolo, I think you wanted to ask something.
Yeah, I want to ask what you are saying. First, I have only two questions. The first one was, are we expected to copy it? But then you have already explained that we are going to copy a bottle that basically it was born like an abortion. So I don't think we'll copy that model. Because I happen also to work in the Conference of Bishops of the Philippines. Edwin did, and I think some of us were there. How can we copy that model, transferring to us and going to the chaplain? I do not know how it works in Korea, Tokyo, etc. So you answer that. What amazes me there is Stella Maris UK is in the chart. Does it belong to the structure? If yes, why?
Yes, that's because Stella Maris...
Sorry, is it from the Vatican that is officially addition or something else?
Okay. There are two things.
I personally do not feel comfortable with that idea. I can tell you, I don't.
So who cares?
That's my opinion.
There are two things. First one, about the matter of mirroring and other things. I can tell you that Father Fabio, during one meeting that I attended, and one of the participants asked the question, and says, Father Fabio, so the Bishop Conference, they have to mirror the structure of the Roman Curia? And the answer of Father Fabio said, no, the Bishop Conference, they can do whatever they want. That was the answer that he gave. So it's not necessary, because what he says is Pope Francis is not obliging the Bishop Conference to replicate what is being done in the Vatican. So that's the first question. The good things of Stella Maris UK there is a good question. Is Stella Maris UK approach the dicastery and offer their capacity as far as people and also in resources to help to develop the global Stella Maris. Means also the fact that we are having this training now is because Stella Maris UK fund these things, because Stella Maris UK approach funder in United Kingdom. They submitted a proposal and they get the money to do this training, and eventually they will get also the money to roll out this training globally to all the chaplains around the world. So that's why Stella Maris UK is placed there in the things. No.
So it's financial reasons.
No, it's not
No.
financial.
It's not
Yeah.
only necessary. Maybe you can answer this.
No, I have to answer. The problem is that, I mean, clearly, thanks to Bruno, we understood that the history is very, how would you say, accidentata. I mean, it's
Complicated.
it's complicated. It's full of loopholes. There was not a clear capacity to place this organization somewhere. Basically, because there is the original sin that was a lay organization that became, it was in London, that was stolen by Rome because they wanted to control everything. So, and you understood there is the juridical, but not the juridical in sense of spiritual vision and understanding is very confused. Okay, when I read some or I listen, I see confusion and I see one question mark that is very simple. The church is based on a territory, and these people are moving. And this is the problem, that the church never understood how to reach, because the structure of the church is elephantiac. I mean, it's very heavy and is very radicated in each geographical territory, because it responds to geographical challenges and geographical culture and geographical whatever. Okay. So, what Bruno says, there is the lack of alignment in between the local churches and the dicastery. This is our problem today, because he said something very important, that is the story. We should follow the beneficiaries, call it like that. Port or port. No? I mean, there is someone lands in Taiwan, in Thailand. Then the chaplain in Thailand sniffs something fishy about a person or a vessel, etc. The vessel is leaving to South Korea. That is the follow-up. That should be an automatic follow-up. But today that is absolutely needed, because otherwise the Lamaris won't survive if it doesn't do that. It's absolutely left to you. Is not envisaged. Is left to you. Is left to you to contact him, but only if you know him. That's why it came up very, very clearly through the survey, to the need assessment. Because the chaplain, your colleague, said, yes, with whom you are networking, with those who know, with whom I have a relationship, I know. Because otherwise the others won't. But this is because exactly there is this lack of alignment in between the bishop conference. Each bishop conference is doing whatever they want, and they give you a different vision. Unfortunately, it's like that. There is no bottom up. It's totally top down what arrives to the poor chaplains. The directions, the guidelines. The guidelines are coming from here. And from the survey, the majority of chaplains say, who is your, who gives you guidance? And all says the diocesan bishop. They know nothing about the others, because the others don't exist. The national director, sorry for those who are there, because they are just put it there, but there is no client. You see, this is the problem. Who does what? There is an overlapping of positions, but at the end of the day, it's the bishop conference that, as Bruno said, is not aligned with the Curia. So, who is ruling Stella Maris? No one knows. And that's why there is this one. Because at least, Stella Maris UK is there because it's trying to put a patch, an operational patch. Okay, the rest remain on the shoulder of religious bishop, whatever. But operationally speaking, someone has to help the chaplains to say, now we harmonize the intervention, because the bishops are not doing that. They don't talk. They even despise each other. Sorry, I'm lay, so I can say. But it's not that there is this sense of brotherhood. It's not. Okay? There are fights, there are needs, etc. And this, of course, how can you harmonize the job of a poor chaplain in different countries, not mentioning in Asia, that you understand yourself, but in Asia with America, North America, etc. Each one of you has a different sensitivity, towards the issue. And each one of you has its own, vision and mission, I would say. That is not related, because the mission that you see, that you listen in the motu proprio, is very weak. I'm sorry, you said that it's very strong. It's not. The mission is very weak. Provide abundantly. For me, that I am a human being, what do you mean? I mean, turn reality on the ground. What does it mean? Nothing, because it's everything. And everything we know is nothing. So, that's why the attempt is to do something. What we are doing here, this is just the entry point, is to try to do something bottom up, to create these groups. That's why you are guinea pigs. Groups of reflection in order to see if it is possible to harmonize with the different experiences, different continents, to see if there is the possibility to create a common line of understanding among all the chaplains, at least, in order for you to be able to share with the others. Otherwise, you are not. Okay? And in this way, unfortunately, to overtake the mess that, not him, but that was done in 1 century of Stella Maris. This is the only way. Today, each organization works and is profitable, only profitable, not in the sense of financial, but profitable as impact of their action, only if the workers knows what they are doing, and they are helping each other, and they are following up these ships and these people on the ships. Otherwise, there is nothing that you do. You just put patches, and there is nothing else that you can do, unless you are working with the locals. For those working with the locals, probably different. Okay? But with the itinerant, let's say, transient seafarers, yes, you give the phone, make a call. This is not a job. It's a mean. So, this session, the first, the introductory section, was just to understand where we are and to understand what are the main problems. We have to find a way to overcome those problems. All right? Thank you very much. If there are questions or inputs.
Stefano, so the structure that we have right now, sorry for the guys who are not from the Philippines, huh? I happen to be here, no? I do not know the structure of South Korea. In Vietnam, we know it is very weak. I know a bit of there in Japan. But the current structure that we have in these nations, according to what you have seen and have heard, do we keep it or do we try to realign? Or we just go on, Bruno, until you have a new guidance from the Vatican?
As I said, things are changing now. We will see what's happened in the next few months. But basically, until the Stella Maris motu proprio will be changed, we have to stick to that.
So what do we have?
To the Stella Maris. And the problem is to change a motu proprio of a pope. You have to get a pope to make another motu proprio. So, and it's not an easy thing.
Don't be mean. Okay, but we didn't do this in order to discourage, okay, at all. The opposite. This the goal, the objectives of this session is to encourage you to be to fill the gaps. Okay, let's forget it. What is important is that we need to consider ourselves as part of an organization, and we have to do an effort, because from the top they are not helping. No one is helping. Even the story of the name is not helping. Okay? Can you imagine? I mean, for instance, you have another Catholic organization, very famous, Caritas. Caritas is known everywhere. Caritas. Not even the logo, who cares? Caritas is the name. But here, there are different names, and there are Stella Maris that are keeping the old name, and they refuse to use the new one, or they are using it in a different way. So, we need to create a new sense of belonging, a new ownership, a new membership. And this is based, that's why I'm a very rough person. I don't care about the neither political nor hierarchy. I think that where there are workers that are motivated and effective, they can overcome whatever. Okay? So this is the moment where we can create a real network. Because today, if we don't network among us, we don't survive. I'm sorry. We will do our small pieces of job in our port. Maybe we are happy. No, you will not be happy. And it's there, as I showed you before. You are already not happy. Because you are perfectly aware that you could do much more with less effort. And this is my role here, to help you in understanding, not to tell you how to do, but to understand that it is possible to achieve more with less effort. I am a champion with less effort, for sure.
May I have a follow-up? Yeah, I understand really as to what you're supposed to do. So it entails a great initiative and resourcefulness and creativity as to our work. What I am afraid of, if we might be overdoing our functions, that it's no longer be in the realms of our chaplaincy. For example, as based on my experience, somebody was incarcerated, Boholano, no, in our diocese, incarcerated in Bahamas, and then the parents, because a single, approached me as to what would be the help that I can do. So, to my creativity, without even the knowledge of the bishop, I contacted London, and they cannot give me the chaplain because they do not have the Stella Maris in Bahamas. So what I did is to ask help from the foreign affairs, but they're very slow. They do not really act. So what I did is to look for somebody in Bahamas, Filipino people. So I even called up the bishop, and they introduced me to the Filipino people there. And I asked the leader to organize themselves if they can be of help to a Filipino who is behind bars and nobody is one helping him. And then out of this, there was a need of legal assistance that they need a lawyer. So again, we have to contact a lawyer, to help. But I asked the Filipino people there, can you please finance this? Because we have, we do not have the resources. But, I think as what I am doing, would it not be beyond my realm as a chaplain? Because to sanctify, the main purpose is to sanctify all the, the seafarers, and regardless of their faith. But now I'm entering now to the legal, welfare as to this particular. Thanks be to God, because of this, he was being freed, because of the lawyers, yeah. So that's what I am afraid of. I might be overdoing my works as a chaplain, because it's no longer my concern as to enter into this legal, concerns of that particular who is placed behind bars.
Can I ask you a favor? Can you remember exactly what you said today and repeat tomorrow afternoon?
I'm afraid why.
You remember what he said, okay? The issue that he raised. It is very important, but I'm asking you to wait until tomorrow afternoon to discuss it, okay? Because tomorrow exactly we will enter in this. Today we stay at the organizational level. Tomorrow we enter in the role of the core chapter. Okay? I have one activity for you. Okay? The step forward. We split in the same group for commodity, so we don't have to. We already started. Then tomorrow we change it, so we have the opportunity to change the points of view, etc. But now the same three groups are tasked with discussing and make a list of what you perceive as the strength of Stella Maris today from your point of view, the weaknesses of Stella Maris today, the opportunities and the threats. Okay? Think from your point of view, I think, of course, to the organization. These are the guidelines. Okay? The strengths are your point of excellence. Okay? The things that you think that are not only giving you strength, but what also differentiate from the others. I say competitors because the issue of the caring the seafarers is becoming more and more numerous, the organizations involved in that. So try to understand what are those elements, but three, four, no more, that you perceive as those who makes the difference in the life of your beneficiaries. The element of weaknesses, okay? What is preventing to reach an optimum level? Which area you feel in this moment that needs to be reinforced? Okay? The opportunities and the threats are external. These two are internal. These two are external. Opportunities. The changes that we were talking about before. How can this changing can become opportunities in order to improve the organization, your work, and the organization impact? And the threats, or the opposite, what you perceive that are the threats for the future. For instance, I would say, if no one is Catholic, is a threat? Probably yes. Okay? But think about it. It's okay.